One good thing about me hoarding a lot of games is that I encounter a lot of crappy ones. Which means you don't have to experience crappy games, and I'm here to tell you which ones are crappy and which ones to avoid. Well, I already introduced the Winter Sale in episode 1, so let's just jump right in with Europa Universalis 4. I'm dead serious. Big reason is the DLC policy. The DLC is absolutely outrageous. Look at that! Look at that! I got the base game with some DLC in a bundle for like $8, and I'm gonna be honest, this is a fantastic game. However, I will never experience the full game unless I'm willing to flesh out a ton of cash. This is kind of the trend with Paradox, and they hold a monopoly on good grand strategies, and Europa is the only good grand strategy that takes place during the Renaissance. Point me to another one on Steam, and I'll rescind that statement, but as of now, as far as I'm aware, Europa's like the only one. Which makes it so much worse because then you get hooked on the game and you want more. So then you really want to buy the DLC, and it's hard to avoid. Some people are going to be like, look, dude, they're not forcing you to buy DLC. If you don't want the DLC, then don't buy it. But if I want to experience the full game, I have to pay more than a AAA title. That's just not right. And even if you don't buy the DLC, this problem gets worse when playing with friends. Put like 60 or so hours in the game in single player with the mods that I had. Then my buddy comes along and says, hey, let's play. And Paradox has DLC sharing capabilities, which is nice, which means my buddy that has all the DLC, I get to experience it with him. But here I am, sitting here like a moron trying to figure out how to play. Because a lot of DLC change core gameplay mechanics, and some of them are super important. And they add new modifiers, variable, or actions. I'm sitting here wondering, like, what am I supposed to do? These are not cosmetic DLCs. Some of them are, but a lot of them change mechanics and how the game works. And there's a ton of them, as you saw. And disabling DLC has the opposite effect. My buddy was all like, wait, what? How does this work? Because he can't remember which mechanic was with what DLC, and now he has to relearn the game from an earlier view. It's a mess. A stupid mess. Like I said, the trend goes for all the Paradox games, some cheaper than others. So beware when buying because they still release new DLC for Europa. Crusader King seems worse, but I've only put time in Victoria, Hearts of Iron, and Europa. I know I've angered a lot of people with this one, but I'm trying to save people some time, frustration, and money. Probably the cheapest and newer Paradox game is Victoria 2. Its DLC is not worth as much, and most of it's cosmetic. There's only really 2 of those you really desperately need. Anyway, moving on. This one already has mixed reviews, but just in case, active aggression. I always have that one friend who buys this on sale and is just disappointed. Low key, I'm an active aggression fanboy. I bought the game day 1. I've loved it ever since. I love every second. But the game is bad. And because of fanboys, people get suckered into buying this game, I'm going to be a little bit more truthful and say that while there's potential to like this game, the potential is low. In response to the negative reviews, the developers made a reboot edition that you can play, but somehow it's worse. Let me break down the issues as easily as possible. Active Aggression is a real-time strategy game, claiming to be based off the old Active War and Command & Conquer series. There's some similarities, but not many. And honestly, the reason why I love the game is because I just love strategy games and real-time strategies to begin with. It doesn't really take much to please me in this genre. Well, the first major issue in the normal version is the resource system. There's 3 resources, and many of the upgrades require 2 or sometimes all the resource types. This makes the game so slow. It also created a problem in the early days of people spamming weak units and Zerg rushing other players because they were hoarding resources to get better units. This meant that the weak units vanquished the players' bases due to lack of defenses as if they were top-tier units. The devs fixed this by making some things cheaper, like the turrets, so it doesn't happen much anymore, but you wouldn't have to worry about it anyway because the multiplayer is dead. Good luck finding games. The refineries produce your resources, but trucks have to transport them back to the base. Again, slowing down the whole game. The trucks are slow, and offloading and loading seems to take an eternity. Not much you can do to speed things up either, as it'll just mean trucks are backed out like the McDonald's drive-thru during lunchtime. Second issue is the lack of an active pause. Let me just say that as a real-time strategy player, I don't really feel the need for an active pause button for most games, but this one definitely needs it. If you're unaware of what active pause means, that means you can pause the game, but still give orders. Everything's frozen, you can queue up orders, hit play, and the orders are carried out. The AI's difficulty is through the roof. They can multitask better than a human, obviously. This game requires speed clicking and camera shifting. Of course, this only applies to the single-player experience, but considering the multiplayer is dead, that's all you got to go on. If your timing is off, if your timing is off by a few seconds, the AI will win. Almost every time. I hate this too because I came in and watched the conflict go down. As soon as I order their assault, I gotta dart across the map to give more orders. I could go on and on and on, but I won't. Just don't buy it. Even the reboot version sucks. It might even be worse. Getting away from strategy, Bully. Now hold your comments. Bully happens to be one of my favorite games of all time, but there's one glaring issue that puts it on this list. It crashes to desktop on Windows 10. I could go through my entire library and make a video about the games with poor Windows 10 compatibility, but this one's probably the worst. Main reason is the reviews. People point out the crashes and still give the game a positive review despite this issue. I find this troubling. It makes the review score kinda misleading. This game requires manual saving. There is no autosave, so when the game crashes, you go back to the latest save. I've lost a lot of progress due to this crash. Most games on Steam have community mods that fix this type of thing, but sadly, I haven't found one that works for Bully. All the mods are like skins and weapons and graphics overall. Up next is Rogue Warrior. Why? Why does this have positive reviews now? This game is horrible! So Dick Marcinko, one of the guys that helped build SEAL Team 6, wrote his autobiography called Rogue Warrior. Then the game followed. The game does not follow the plot of his book. You know why? Because the book is really dry, as is most military history. I would know. The solution? Make a stupid, lone wolf, hyper-masculine American propaganda poor excuse for a game. He plays Mr. Dick himself, who is voiced by Mickey Rourke. After his soldier buddies get blown up by a grenade, you're by yourself. They took the Call of Duty formula, run and senselessly kill people under the guise of American exceptionalism, but somehow screwed it up. This is published by Bethesda, the guys behind Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and developed by Rebellion, the people behind the Sniper Elite series. This game was stuck in development limbo after Bethesda told the first developer, Zombie, to take a hike. As with every game that eventually crawls itself out of development limbo, they usually turn out pretty bad. The biggest major flaw is how the game acts. While each gun looks different, they act the same. It's also one of the easiest shooters ever made. Just run forward, blind fire if you need to, and just unload massive amounts of ammo into North Koreans while Mr. Dick makes racist comments now and again.
Fucking retard, you dead piece of shit.
It rains indoors, there's other various bugs, the stealth system's hell overpowered, there's some goofy graphical errors. It's so messy. Speaking of Dick, the dude is considered by many an American hero. I wonder how he feels about this game. I wonder how his fans feel. If I was Mr. Dick, I'd be angry. This game made him a meme, a joke, when in reality, he could probably have us all killed. If I don't make another video, just assume he had me assassinated because I'm making the Mr. Dick joke. I can't help it, especially when his name's Richard Marcinko, but on the cover of Rogue Warrior it says Dick. Sorry. I still understand why Dick is a nickname of Richard. I don't get it. Anyway, you can beat this game in 2 hours. Not even kidding. Speaking of short games, Star Wars Force Unleashed 2. The first game took about 8 hours, this one takes about 5. You'd think after the first game things would improve, but no. Length isn't the only issue with the sequel. It's just... bleh. There's no better way to describe it. You button mash your way through stages that have the graphic fidelity of poorly made indie games with little to no challenge. I excuse the first game because it's just that, the first. But there's no excuse for the second game being worse. Just skip over this one. I know we're all desperate for a Star Wars game since EA hasn't done well, but look to the original Battlefront or Dark Forces or the classics, anything but this. Oh, and avoid the Clone Wars game. I had it on Wii, and it was terrible. I haven't played the PC version, hence its absence from the list, but I imagine it's no different. Another terrible sequel is Kane and Lynch Dog Days. Okay, I think we can all agree the first game wasn't that great. But it's become sort of a cult classic. Like I said, it isn't really good, but at the time it took everyone by weird surprise. I remember playing it when it first came out on PS3 and being all like, well, it's not that bad. Also, it goes super cheap on Steam and supports split-screen co-op, which is super rare on PC. I'm not saying buy the first game, just saying that it deserves its cult classic title. Not good, not too bad. I gave you the introduction of the first game to kind of set you up with this mentality of, yeah, maiden voyages can go wrong, but there's always room for improvement. However, the second game blows! This makes the first game look like a masterpiece. The camera jogs around with nasty, filthy graphics. They were going for this, like, snuff film type camera angle. The streets are gritty, and we all know that cell phone footage make things even grittier. Well, I agree, but this is a video game. I'm not on LiveLeak or some dark web gore website. This isn't some 4-minute video that surfaces on social media that everyone freaks out over because it's like they've never seen crime before. This is a video game that you control, and this camera gives you the worst kind of motion sickness. This is, without a doubt, the biggest flaw of the game. Maybe the next important issue is the gameplay, more specifically the gunplay. Yeah, a shooter with terrible gunplay. That just seems wrong. Everything is inaccurate, but somehow the AI hits you like they have sniper rifles. Just avoid this piece of crap. Just don't buy it. I'm trying to keep these price guide videos short so I can cover more areas, more genres, blah blah blah. So we're just gonna look at one more. Contagion. Oh, Contagion. Remember the beginnings of the early access program? I do. I was there for it, right when I joined Steam. A little bit later, they were like, early access program, we're doing it. It was kind of like their answer to the Greenlight program, because we all know how well that went. Terribly. It went terrible. Anyway, this was back when we all thought early access was a great and perfect idea. Then, like most of its brothers and sisters, Contagion failed. Contagion had amazing potential. It's one of those standalone mod type deals. Zombie Panic Source, a mod, came first, then Contagion, the game, was developed to follow the same kind of concept. However, a lot was promised and a lot was scrapped. The workshop was a nice addition, but it's mostly wallpaper backgrounds for your in-game phone, which is why mine has that. Yeah, this was before I started dating. In fact, I got this game in high school. It came out in 2013. Man, those were some dark times. Well, back to the game. It hinges on multiplayer. To get the most fun and efficiency, you have to have friends to play with. Even then, the performance and overall janky gameplay make it a pain. Just go play No More Room in Hell. It's free, and arguably better. And there you have it. Games you should avoid. Now obviously there's a lot more crappy games in the Steam catalog that I could throw out there, but until then, the next video is going to be talking about single player shooters. If there's any other themes or genres you'd like me to cover, let me know, but until then, make sure these games are not on your wish list and can continue to prepare for the winter sale. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.